Hey there! Today we're doing some book reviews, specifically over the lit RPG genre. I'm doing this because I recently finished Tom Elliott's uh, Grand Game Volume 9. So, without really, I don't want to spoil things for people because that's the best part of a book, and then once you spoil it, there's no reason to read. So really, I'm going to go over what I think the authors do well in these books that I review. I'm going to start off with the books that I like. I kind of have a structure of favorite to least favorite, but it's not exactly perfect, just like how I said that. And then towards the bottom are books that I like read like just don't read them. Just don't read them. So the first one, Tom Elliott, he does a really good job of high stakes and impossible odds in which like you feel like there's no way that the character can win, but then through some twist that you go, oh, it's kind of obvious now, or maybe not even generally the most obvious, but it makes sense and it's not like a stupid twist. Through some twist, he gets through and he does like a very, it almost feels like action intrigue in that it's like a cloak and dagger kind of feeling, but it's like a very like high action cloak and dagger, and so I find I really enjoy that. Um, it's not too repetitive as far as lit RPGs go. Lit RPGs have a tendency to be repetitive. I find it depends on how long you like your books. They lit RPGs get very long in series generally. Um, And sometimes that means that the author can lose sight of the ending and then it just becomes repetitive and boring. Like I've said that repetitive twice. I'm gonna say it a lot more times. So, someone tell me in the comments how many times I said it and ignore any pauses you don't like. Um, something that I This is like one of the best lit RPG stories ever. Um, but what I wish that he did better with was like interactions with other characters who aren't like just enemies or he's not just fighting. Um, because I feel like that's just a little bit of a weak point he has. But he has like the action stuff down to a T, and by relationships I mean like love interest for the main character, friends and stuff like that. There are people in there, but they kind of come on later in the story. In the beginning, it's good. Then it has a little bit of as a few stories do, a weaker middle, as many stories do actually, a weaker middle, and thus, just less characters, less interactions. And the next author we're going over has kind of the not exactly the opposite, but he has very good relationship. Putting S at the end, pretty good relationships in his stories, more interactions with characters. And now we're going to Seth Ring, who I've talked about. He's very similar to Tom Elliott, except their lit RPG systems could be uh, not at all any similar at all, honestly. But in terms of characters and action and stuff like that, Seth Ring does really good. Low, fan, kind of low fantasy, but like low light system lit RPGs, whereas Tom Elliott has done very good heavy system RPGs. And I can't wait to see more books from them. And I'll go over Seth Ring more once his fifth book of Iron Tyrant comes down. That's the series I'm most enamored with. Um, the next one, he's pretty good. Is James Callum? He wrote, I think I said that right. He wrote Beastborn, and there's about as many in that series as Tom Elliott. Oh, Tom Elliott also turns out books pretty quickly, and they're not like the quality's not bad. And so, you read a book, you wait a few months for the next one, and there's some interesting strategy to, when to release books and stuff like that. But I'm gonna skip through that. Beastborn has better relationships, I believe, than perhaps either of those two, at least in my opinion. He the author kind of goes down a side quest towards like the latter end of the series. Um, it's it's okay. Um, there's like the lit RPG system goes from like a lit RPG system to like a village building system, and I kind of felt like that was a trick. Not, I mean, not a trick, but like it didn't go the way I wanted it to. I thought it was also a slow read in the beginning, a, a little bit weird, maybe not too weird in terms of lit RPGs because those can get very weird in some places. It was also a very fun. I misread what I wrote down for my notes. Um, yeah, cause I was right. It was very fun, even with some immersion breaks, but otherwise it was well done. Now this is towards more the end of like the lesser kind of authors. This is a still an okay author, not the best, not the worst. Aaron Oster or Oster, I don't know how to pronounce it. He wrote We Hunt Monsters. He wrote a couple others. The most interesting one he wrote was like a anthropomorphic animals with like, but with like in a lit RPG system, and I thought it was very well done. Um, at least that was my opinion. As a when you're younger reader, you can stomach more things when you read more and mature its taste. It kind of becomes harder. So I don't know, but I remember liking that. Um, but for the We Hunt Monsters, it starts out pretty good. It's engaging, it's interesting, but the humor is disruptive kind of. There's some pretty good humor in it. There's some pretty funny stuff. Um, but it's like the author doesn't even try with naming some of the characters. He's just like, oh, this character's name is Baloney, but it's pronounced Bologany because in this universe that's how it's pronounced. And it's just like it's some weird stuff of like I wish that the author would work a little bit more um, on the names and stuff like that, and just like on stuff like that. And then there's some the author has not stereotypes, but stereotypes he makes kind of. Like when you say stereotypes, you assume like stereotypes off race and gender, but no, like stereotypes that his characters follow and that he makes. And so it's stereotypes do reflect reality, and that's why they're stereotypes. But they're not a catch-all kind of thing. Of like they show the general thing, but they don't show every single thing. And like that's like that stereotype is all that person is, and that kind of feels like what some of the guys' characters are. Um, it becomes a very hard read towards like the middle of it. It loses a lot of it. Well, my tone changed. That's fun. Um, then some that I would not ever recommend reading is Chrysalis by Rhino Z. Um, it's just not good. It's like even worse. Take all the bad things from We Hunt Monsters, but then leave none of the good things, and that's really it. We He Who Hunts with Monsters, not We Hunt Monsters, are also pretty bad. One of the probably the worst on this list. And then Rise of the Winter Wolf is also really bad. And that's really all I have to say. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day.